Welcome friends. This video is about the 8th house in our birth charts, and we all know that this house is one of the most malefic houses and it is given the name of a Trigbhavas. We all know that the 6th, 8th and 12th, these are the 3 Trigbhavas in a chart, and the 3rd house is also mildly Trig because 3rd is the 8th of 8th. So it is a reflection of the 8th house, and whatever activities that I'll be telling you which comes through the 8th, they can also be seen through the 3rd house when it comes into activation. But there are some good things also which are to be seen through the 3rd house, because 3rd is all about your efforts and it's about your valor, it's about your communications, whereas 8th is all about things which are beyond your control. So let's talk about what are the things that comes through the 8th house. So first of all, this house is all about transformations, big changes in your life and big transition in your life. It is all about life and death. It's also about the longevity of a person. The Dasha of the 8th house will bring in very big changes in somebody's life. So this Dasha should not be ignored. This house also deals with hidden activities about which you only know and nobody else knows. It's also about your research work. It's also about your unearned wealth. It's the wealth of your spouse, or it could be the inheritance wealth. It can also be the taxes that you pay to the government, because that is the wealth you are getting in surplus, which you have to pay in the form of taxes. This house is also about your research work. It is also strong in those people's charts who are good with occult sciences. So the occult sciences could mean astrology, tantra, tarot cards, numerology, things which are to do with hiddenness of events which are not known to everyone. These are the things which comes into the occult activities. So many good things are also to be seen through this house, but majorly this house is all about disasters, about diseases, about suddenness of events, chronic diseases, proneness towards accidents and dangers of somebody's life. So as I told you, the Dasha of the 8th house is all about the big changes in somebody's life, and that Dasha is also called as the Chidra Dasha. Chidra Dasha means when there is a hole in the Dasha. So Dasha, whenever it comes, it will give you some kind of instability in your life whenever the Dasha of the 8th Lord comes. Or any planet who is even aspecting your 8th Lord will cause you ups and downs in life. Any planet who is posited in the 8th house can also give you ups and downs in your life under your that planet's Dasha. So if any planet who is conjuncted with the 8th Lord will also give you ups and downs, because anything which has to do with the 8th Lord or 8th house in some way or the other, and that planet, if it is in function, it will definitely cause ups and downs in life. So this much you have to keep in mind while you see your astrological charts. So the 8th house should never be stronger than your Lagna, because Lagna is you, it's yourself, and 8th house is about the allegations or blames or scandals. So you should never make sure that the 8th Lord should be made strong. If by default in your charts the 8th Lord is stronger than your Lagna chart, in that case you need to do some remedies of the 8th house, else you will be subjected to blames and allegations under its Dasha. As I told you, there can be various planets who could be present in your 8th house, and they will give you different kinds of results. So I'll come to these planets one by one. First of all, if you happen to have benefics situated in your 8th, in that case, it will give you longevity, it will give you good unearned wealth, and this house is also about the Mangalya house. So which means it is also about the longevity of your marriage. If you happen to have malefics in this house, but you are having benefic planets in your 9th house, then the longevity of marriage is not under any kind of tension. But if you do not have benefics in your 9th house and you have got malefics in your 8th house, in that case you should avoid that match, because malefics in the 8th house will shorten somebody's longevity and they will shorten the married life also. But please do not ignore the 9th house and the benefics present there. They will always safeguard the maleficence of the malefic planets present in your 8th house. Now coming back to the planets in the 8th, if moon is present here in the sign of Saturn, this is very bad indication for a female's chart, because that can give her bad habits, and such charts should be avoided for matchmaking. Moon, if it is present here and somebody who is born in the dark phase of moon, that is, moon is declining and it is in very close conjunction to the planet sun, and it is the birth is during the daytime. Under these two conditions, moon in the 8th house will help you have a safe life. It will always safeguard. Else, the presence of moon in the trik bhavas like 6th, 8th and 12th is not recommended. It's not good for the longevity of a person. But if your moon is if you are born during the daytime, and if your moon is in the dark phase, that is, it is very close to the degrees of sun, that is, you are born around Amavasya, in that case this moon will protect you. Under the second condition, if you are born during the night time and if your moon is waxing, it means you are born during the time of Purnima, when moon and sun are 7 houses apart. During that time, if your moon happens to fall in your 8th house, it will safeguard from evil events and it will give you longevity. So this thing should be kept in your mind while you are studying the position of moon in the 8th house. But else I would say moon in the 8th will make you prone towards depression, and moon is a karka of domestic happiness. It's about your mother's happiness. It's about your overall thought process. So in the 8th house it will harm those areas of your life. In that case, you need to perform some remedies related to moon, and you should donate some things which are white in color if your moon is present in the 8th house, or you can do some mantras which are related to planet moon and they will help you here. Now, if you happen to have planet Venus here, see, one more thing I will tell you is that any planet who is present in the 8th house, his lordship will also be affected. So wherever the lordship of that planet is, that house will also be affected, and the planet, whatever it is karka of, that karak would also be affected by being present in the 8th house. Suppose we were talking about planet moon only, and moon, say, is the lord of your 3rd house. In that case, the 3rd house would be under distress, and the significators of moon, they will also be under distress. So these things should also be kept in your mind. Now coming to planet Venus, if Venus is in your 8th house, Venus is all about love, relationships, marriage. So the person will always find difficulties in his relationships, and he will have problems in his marriage or marital bliss. And but at the same time, as I told you, benefics in the 8th house will give you a long life and a peaceful death. So Venus present here will give you lots of unearned income also. It will make your it will make your spouse very rich, and it will also give you good in-laws, because 8th house is also about your in-laws. So it will give you good in-laws. So Venus in the 8th house will also give you good inclination towards occult studies and a very sweet voice, because from here it is aspecting your second house. Now coming to the planet Jupiter here, it will also behave like planet Venus only, because Jupiter is also a benefic planet, but being the karka of human life, it will give you difficulties related to your health, but always it will give you a long life, and all the rest of the things which I told for Venus will also be given through the presence of Jupiter in the 8th house. Now Jupiter is the karka of children. It's about your knowledge, it's about your education, and it's about your health. So these things would be affected by the presence of Jupiter in the 8th house. But this Jupiter will increase the good qualities of the 8th and decrease the bad qualities of the 8th house. So this way it has to be seen. Now coming to planet Mercury. Mercury is also good here. It will give you lots of wealth and good name also, because see, benefics, whenever they are present in the 8th house, they will make sure that you do not do anything which will harm your name, which will harm your reputation. So this way benefics will do you good by being in the 8th house. So they will also give you a long life and a peaceful end to the life. Now coming to the planet Saturn, we all know that Saturn is the only malefic who is considered good in the 8th house. It's not that it's going to give you good things related to the 8th house, but the only good point it will give you by being in the 8th is that it will give you long life. Rest, nothing good is going to happen when Saturn is going to be in the 8th, because first of all it will increase somebody's sufferings, it will destroy the career part of that native, it will give lots of health issues after the age of 45 or 50, because Saturn is the karka of old age. So it will become activated during the old age. So it will definitely give a person a long life, but in the old age it will definitely give lots of issues, and the spouse's wealth is also suffering by this placement, unless this Saturn is in its own sign, that is Capricorn or Aquarius, or it is exalted in the sign of Libra here. So there are conditions which you have to keep in mind and not outrightly see the placement of planets in the 8th, because these planets should be either exalted or in their own sign. Only then you have to give your judgment how will they behave. But if you happen to have an overview, then the benefics, they will do you good here, but their karka properties are lost, and the malefics, they will do you harm here, and their karka properties are also lost. Like if planet Mars is present here, so Mars is going to give you lots of suddenness of events. The person would be prone to accidents. The person will have a very bad mouth, which means he is going to speak very rudely to others, because Mars is going to aspect your second house. So the speech would be very unacceptable, and these people are also prone to taking they will take bribes also. If you happen to have Mars in your 8th, this is not considered as good, and it will shorten the longevity of marriage as well as of that native. But as I told you earlier, that if you are having benefics in the 9th house, then there is no threat to marriage. And one more thing is that if you happen to have Mars here, never do never wear any stone of Mars, because this will increase the maleficence of Mars in the 8th. In such conditions, you should give blood as your you should donate blood, and you should donate things which are red in color, or you should do the mantra remedies of this kind of Mars who is present in your 8th house. And coming to Rahu and Ketu, see, Rahu Ketu will behave like Saturn and Mars. Rahu is going to behave like Saturn, and Ketu is going to behave like Mars. So it is not good to have these planets here. The added disadvantage of Rahu is that Rahu is all about suddenness of events. So it can give you sudden chronicity or suddenness of difficulties in your life. And Ketu here will work without any logic. At least Mars is having some logic, but Ketu present in the 8th house will behave like Mars but without any logic, and the person will do things outrightly which can spoil his reputation, and he has to be very careful. If you happen to have planet Sun here, Sun is also going to make that person fall into wrong company. The person himself could be not up to the mark. He could be very shrewd, and he has to listen to the voice of his soul here. And it is also recommended that this person should do some meditations to strengthen the soul's energies. And Sun is a karka of seniority or seniors. It is also about your father, so they will have complaints against you, or the father's happiness would be curtailed when you happen to have Sun in the 8th house. So this way you have to see how the planets will behave in the 8th house. Now at the same time, you also have to keep in mind where is the 8th lord going. So wherever it will go into your chart, that house is definitely going to be affected for sure. So the health of that house, the health of the relationships coming through that house wherever 8th lord is going would be affected. And if you happen to live in the direction of that sign where this 8th lord is going, that house is also going to give you troubles. It has to be looked up this much minutely when you are studying the 8th lord. Like, I'll just give you an example. Suppose your 8th lord has gone to the sign of Gemini, say in your 2nd house. Gemini sign is having, and the 8th lord goes to the Gemini in your 2nd house. In that case, there would be difficulties related to the family environment, family matters, first of all. And if you happen to buy a property which is in the direction of Gemini, Gemini is the west direction, so that direction will never suit you. So always keep in mind where has your 8th lord gone. That direction also will be unsuitable for you. So friends, coming to the power of the 8th lord, it has to be also studied very minutely when we study the longevity of a person. See, for the saints, they have got this blessing of Ichha Mrityu, which means whenever they want to die, they will die. So for them, the 8th lord holds no meaning. But for a person like us, we have to be very careful of our deeds, because if we perform evil deeds, in that case, a person can die before the designated time. So if somebody has come up with the age of say 80 years and he is performing evil deeds, in that case the death can happen earlier than that. So one has to be very righteous, and they have to be very careful of the deeds that they do, because 8th house is associated with whatever you do. It's, as I told you, it's the reflection. 3rd house is the reflection of the 8th house. So 3rd house is about our deeds. So if our deeds are good, the 8th house will get strengthened. If our deeds are bad, the 8th house will get weakened. So this is also another way of looking at this. Now, coming to the presence of the 8th lord in the divisional charts, say if your 8th lord goes to the Kendra houses of your divisional charts, or to the 7th house, or to the Lagna in your divisional chart, in that case the person may have very difficult married life, and there would be possibility of either no marriage or break in marriage. This is how dangerous it could be. One more thing I like to tell you is that for the Sagittarius and for the Capricorn people who are having these lagnas, the 8th lordship for Sagittarius would be Cancer, and for Capricorns would be Leo. So for only these two lagnas, the 8th lord is not bad. because sun and moon being the lord of the eighth will never do you harm. So for them there is an exception. For others, the eighth lordship has to be studied very carefully. Now, as I told you, whenever the eighth lord goes to the lagna of your Saptamamsha chart, that is the chart to see your children. So in that case, if it is going to the lagna of your Saptamamsha chart, the person will have problems related to bearing a child, and there is also a strong possibility that he may not be able to have a child. So this is how bad it could be. Similarly, something good also can come through the eighth. So if the eighth lord goes to your Dashmansha chart, that is D10 chart, which is used to see your career and your karmas. So if in your Dashmansha chart the eighth lord is getting connected to the Dashmansha lagna, okay, so in that case this person will definitely get some inheritance from his family, from his parents, because 8th house is also about the inheritance, and if it is connected to the lagna of your Dashmansha, then you can be rest assured that you will definitely get some inheritance in life. So this was, friends, all about the 8th lord. I'll make a separate video in which I'll be talking about the presence of the 8th lord in different houses. But before concluding, I'll also say that the 8th lord should either be present in the 8th house or in the 12th or in the 3rd or in the 6th houses, because these are only the 4 places where it is safe to have. Else in any other houses it will be very destructive. And one more thing before concluding, I'll also say that if you happen to have malefics in the 8th house, they will do you good in terms of job, because see, the 6th house is about your job, it's about the service that you do. So malefic in the 8th house will give you a benefic argala in the 8th. So malefics in the 3rd house to any house will increase the stamina of that house by giving the argala. So Mars, Saturn in the 8th will be good for a person to have a job, and similarly benefics present here in the 8th will give argala, shubh argala to the 7th house, and 7th house is what? Your marriage, it's about your business. So people will excel in business if you happen to have benefics in the 8th house, and by having malefics in the 8th, the person can do a job very easily. So this thing can also be seen. But malefics in the 8th house will destroy the 4th house, because they are forming a pap argala on the 4th house, and they are also forming a pap argala on the 5th house. So which means the happiness coming from children, the happiness coming from your education, from your thought process will also be affected, and they are also causing a pap argala on your 7th house. So malefics in the 8th house will cause difficulties in the married life, and they are also forming a pap argala on your career house, that is your 10th house. So they will also spoil the career prospects of a person. But benefic in the 8th house will do you good in terms of your 4th house, 5th house, 7th house and the 11th house, because these are the 4 houses where they will give you shubh argalas. So friends, these things should be kept in mind, and malefics or benefics, I mean to say the lords of 8th house, if they are going to the trik bhavas, they will increase the happiness coming through the 8th house, and they will destroy the evils, because all the evils of the 8th would be destroyed if they are present in the other trik bhavas. So this causes a Viprit Raj Yog. So the person will gain in terms of money by undergoing some kind of untoward activity in his life, and this is kind of Viprit Rajyog, means something evil happens and it will give you some kind of fruit later on in terms of rewards, and the person will be happy with those rewards. So friends, this was all about the 8th house of astrology. I'll see you very soon with the 12th house in the birth charts, and please do share and subscribe if you have not subscribed so far, because I plan to come up with more interesting videos in future. Thank you friends for listening.